This gives the documentary a real feel to it and also fits the conventions of other documentaries. This is quite mysterious and it leaves the audience guessing. I used a handheld camera to allow audiences to feel as though they are a part of the experience.
This temptation can overtake every aspect of their lives.
I chose to use this shot as the opening shot because I feel that it truly represents each of the issues focused on in the documentary: the alcohol abuse, substance abuse, and eating disorders. The typography is unique to appeal to a young teenage audience. It's also consistent with the title earlier on. I used this sound effect to give off the impression of privacy and invasion in the teenagers' lives. Here I chose to put a blur effect using Final Cut effects. I did this because it gives that feeling of protected identity, which is a common convention amongst documentaries.
Crazy guy, and he started talking about how he used to be anorexic in such detail, and
I filmed the interviewees from different angles because I felt that it gave more of an insight to the characters for the audience to relate to.
The next morning with just a completely different mindset and different aims. But I don't think I ever fully realised that I had a problem. I just kind of thought that I knew that something wasn't right. It's weird to think.
I used a handheld camera for this shot, and I edited it using a blur effect because I feel that this emphasises the lack of control that the girl is feeling in her life.
For letting myself get in too deep, and even though I know that I'm not in control, I do still blame myself.
I used the same effect for all of the flashbacks to keep consistency throughout.
Pretty much ruined the relationship I have with my mum because I did distance myself from her. I think because I was in such a vulnerable state, they obviously became more protective, but that was the last thing that I wanted.
This shot was difficult to film. I had to use a camera on a tripod on a skateboard to get the panning right.
I feel like
this shot was filmed by putting a lamp behind me, who was filming at the time, and I feel that the shadow effect is quite effective because it doesn't allow us to see too much of the characters, which is keeping audiences guessing and gives quite a mysterious feel. The idea of filming the outside of their characters' houses was one that came up as I was editing because I felt that I needed something else to fit the usual conventions of a documentary.
I know, I was intrigued, so I went and sorted it out in the local town. There was a point when it was every weekend, trying to juggle.
I struggled when filming so close up not to get a blurry kind of effect, which I did end up getting, unfortunately, but I use this to my advantage. I quite like the ambiguous nature along with the effects that I put on.
I was running from this guy in a forest. I didn't know if he was actually chasing me.
When going through my shots with that interviewee, there were a few problems with the sound because there was a lot of background noise at the time. So in order to fix that, I had to take out the background noise, which created quite an echoey sound.
My family life was never great.
When it came to editing, I found problems with the colour of this footage that came out. It came out too yellow. So when editing, I used Final Cut colour settings to tone down the colours a bit and make it less yellow. I chose to use just natural lighting for this shot to give it a kind of silhouette feel.
A sleeping aid, something that helped me go to sleep and forget everything, that kind of thing.
I asked the teenagers whether or not they feel that this is a serious issue.
We had problems with the voiceover here because it didn't sound very clear, so in order to fix this I had to edit out the background noise and turn up the volume as loud as it could possibly go to try and override the background noise.
A lot of people don't know what they're doing. it's affected quite a few of my friends. I once got a call from a friend who had too much. He said that everyone's face was twisting in a hideous abomination.
Yeah, definitely. Like, just to think of the amount of people that I know who've been through something similar, it's horrible because it is something which changes a life completely.
This shot was also used at the beginning of the documentary. I filmed it using, again, a tripod, a camera on a skateboard to give it that kind of stable movement as opposed to just a tripod on wheels.